talk, Valentina.
Hi guys, this is Marcy,
This is Raji.
and this is our podcast, Talk Valentina. Welcome to another episode.
Yes, this is our second episode.
How does it go? Second time's the charm? No, it's actually
Mm,
a third
Third
time the
time.
charm, I think. But
Yeah.
for us, I guess second, because this just feels so much more easy today.
The first episode kind of was nice in the end. I think we were both nervous in the beginning, but so now it's like even better. So we hope that this episode is even smoother. So,
I think it's safe to say that we felt really proud of the outcome because
mm,
you were just telling me that we got around 300 views on the first one. It may
yeah.
seem like nothing if someone is a creator, but as a person who also posts on YouTube, I know that that's pretty good for
mm.
like a platform that we just started. So
Especially the little like clips and the videos that we posted on like other social media as well as YouTube itself. They also did pretty good, and we have like, I mean, 14 subscribers for like just a first video is like a good amount. So, you
no,
know.
I think it's really cute, and we were really excited about it actually working out. I think
Mm,
yeah, how it goes with YouTube is that it could happen where you get like 30 views because you have no platform. So
mm,
I was kind of obviously not even preparing myself for that, but that's always like, statistically, that's
mhm,
definitely an option. So from what I was thinking today, like almost off the top of my head, but even when making notes for the first episode, we sort of talked a lot about these. Would call it like an idea of an LA it girl, which sounds really cringe, but
mhm,
let me explain. I don't mean like a fashion influencer or like a girlie who goes to Air One, although don't really have anything particularly against those. But I
mhm,
think we both have our own examples of these women in like social media, but specifically also pop music space that we've been really obsessed with. I think I'm more like we've been saying recently. I'm more into pop the
mhm.
recent couple of months. Um, but yeah, you had your own examples, so maybe you could start with.
Yeah. There is this musical duo basically called Between Friends, and I've been listening to them since at least 2019, without barely knowing anything about Savannah herself. But I think like she recently yeah, I think it's mostly because of like what she wears and like the styling that she either does for herself or like someone else does, but it's like we've been talking about it. I would say that her style is very trendy right now in terms of like what she tends to wear. It's very like bright neon stuff, but at the same time, like, and that is kind of something that multiple pop stars right now are going for, including Addison Rae, I think, is like they are definitely in the same genre. Um, of clothing. I don't think necessarily their music is in the same genre.
Yeah, she's so hot and like insane clothing, not even like styling per se, but I don't know if you've seen her. I mean, obviously the styling as well, but she has a Vogue like clothing tour video.
Mm,
And I wouldn't even call her style trendy because of that, because she's like been on it. I think that
mm,
video is literally from around quarantine times. And if
mm,
anything, that just like shows that it's truly authentic to her because
mm,
she has some like an insane clothing collection. Um, I don't even remember another celebrity like closet video from Vogue. Like I couldn't recall it from the top of my head, but I remember that one because it was so
mm.
good.
Yeah.
And like if I was going to like rave, I think that's the term, someone's closet, she would be definitely like my top five picks.
It's also that she literally owns like really good pieces as well. It is, yeah, I wouldn't say it's just the styling. Like it is head to toe archival Balenciaga and stuff like that. So like,
Yeah.
you know,
At the same time, I'm sure she has some really cheap things as well, and it's just
mm,
like the way she pairs it together. I think she's really good at
yeah.
like the color combinations.
She has been wearing a lot of Sandy Liang as well. Um, so yeah, no, like it definitely feels genuine. It does feel trendy right now. I trends happen from like certain people literally, and
Mm.
you could even say that maybe like some of the things kind of originated from like what she was wearing and doing. But yeah, it's like yeah, I love her energy as well. Like the way she takes pictures and it's like very bold and fun and whimsical. Bring back whimsy.
Other than Savannah, you've obviously mentioned Addison Rae already. I love Addison, and like I've been an Addison girly, and I feel like all of these people we're mentioning, I'm pretty sure live in LA. That's why I called it the label LA It Girl.
Mhm.
Um, I think there is something about there's definitely just like a common factor of that style probably being related to California and like where they live specifically. Addison also is really good with both colors. I think they both wear a lot of neon, but they're both also pop girlies. And if I was to name other people, and this is just my personal music taste now, we're leaning away from what Ratty listens to. There's this artist, and her name is Michaela Twigs, who is so tiny. I'm pretty sure her music got popular off of TikTok and basically like Instagram. She hasn't even had a tour yet. She has one EP out, and I think more music coming out. But also the way she dresses, I would also even go as far as saying that her style in some ways it's is maybe even bolder than the two previous ones. Like in a way she's just so there's like such a level of rawness and authenticity. Like she's just so all in
Mm.
to the feathers and like the hot pink and the glitter. Like everything is there. Also I would say psychedelic and almost like 2016 Coachella inspired. Honestly, I feel like all of them dress kind of very like 2010s,
Mm.
which
Yes.
I guess that proves your theory that it's kind of trendy right now because the 2010s are a little bit trendy. But
Uh,
yeah, I love Michaela, I love her music, and I love her overall energy and style.
mm.
She's gorgeous as well, of course.
These are also the people that I do think they kind of originated or started that trend. It's not that like they kind of like I definitely think one of the first things that come to my mind when I think about like the what fashion looks like today and 2010s is like one of the biggest inspiration for people are definitely these people that we are talking about. Like Addison Rae would definitely be there. I guess Savannah would be less known to some extent because she's also like I don't because like I think what the music that they make is more like indie alt pop, alternative pop, so it's like not as mainstream as Edison would be, for example. But like yeah, Savannah herself is pretty popular, I think, at least in like the fashion community or like just generally.
Also, there's probably something about how all these people, I'm pretty sure they have at least one friend in common because that's kind of how this
Mm.
community works, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, not that it really matters
Yeah. Also like
necessarily, but I think it's just they're in similar environments, have similar influences, stuff like that.
yeah, of course. Also like we are not saying that being trendy is negative at all. Like that's not the point at all.
Yeah, one more thing I remembered is that, and I also have another example. what Michaela does really well, and if you guys have been keeping up with my personal social media,
Which you should.
she's been rocking the like a third eye sort of chakra beads, and I've been doing that a little bit recently. That's why it's almost like festival. I don't want to come up with like TikTok
Mm.
build terms, but
Yeah.
festival chic perhaps,
Mm.
because it's actually giving Coachella with the just wearing beads on your face. And I think the kind of makeup that was it's both kind of Coachella and kind of like Euphoria, maybe with
Mm.
the new season coming out and all the crazy like gems and stuff and putting glitter on your face. I feel like that's kind of really 2010s and it's
Mm.
kind of coming back and I find it really fun and I like how expressive it is.
Yeah, I think the fact that they're all like pop stars and like singers and musicians, it kind of like proves that point because that's basically their lifestyle. Like as opposed to like someone who is not the profession, I guess like it would make less sense, but still, like it is. I think ultimately what we can learn from them is that like fashion is fun, and sometimes we like forget that.
Mm.
And like ultimately, it is there to bring you joy and feel confident.
Yeah, what I love about it is that it feels very childlike in a sense, and it's probably also because we have literally been children in the 2000s.
Mm.
I've been born in 2003, so around 2016, I was like a very young teenager, like baby Marcy. I wish I had some pictures to insert, but the trends now that are all surrounding like the neon colors, the Coachella throwbacks and stuff like that, that's actually my childhood. That's why it
Mhm.
feels, I'm not saying someone younger or older couldn't rock it the way like we do, but I think it feels very nostalgic. There's that level of, I think this is what millennials were experiencing when we were younger and the 90s were like a huge trend.
Mhm.
So I think we're like old enough now to actually know
Yeah.
that feeling. And it's cool and it feels really fun and like I'm reconnecting sort of with my younger self and I like it.
Mhm.
So the last person I've been kind of obsessed with recently, as far as pop, is the artist Eli, who also has been a guest on Emergency Intercom recently, and that's kind of how I really got more into, I guess, how I got into their music in general. Because I've been seeing them on social media. I think they had like their breakout online around that time, but then them being a guest on the episode really like pushed me to check out their discography. And then I was really excited about, I don't know, there is something, I feel like the theme of this episode is nostalgia, and there's something very like 2000s nostalgic about their music that I really
Mhm.
love. On top of that, I love supporting the dolls. I love that there's like a whole level of queerness to the music that feels very like authentic. It feels great. It's really fun to like be able to engage with queer artists as a queer person. And yeah, I feel like Eli also fits into that genre for me. And that's really recent as well. I think like as recent as today or 2 days ago. But they have a collab with Zara Larsson on Zara's new
Mhm.
album feature. I don't know how it's called, but basically there's a whole new album on a
With
vinyl that
features.
would be like the second side of the,
Mhm.
you don't call it a CD, the like the vinyl is double sided, and there's like a whole new side of the album, all with features, and Eli is one of them, and I feel really excited for them and for their career. There's something about them that is making me feel almost, I guess, parasocial in a way. I don't know. They
Mhm.
feel like a person that we could know in real life, and I guess that is the authenticity. Everything,
Mm,
all the roads lead to
yeah.
authenticity.
They do, like they all do feel like they could be like someone kind of living next to your door and they would be like a nice person as well, which is interesting. Because we had this whole idea of like what a pop star would mean in even in like the early 2000s, not even like 2010s, that would be like Beyonce and like all this major people, and then they would kind of be the opposite of that, I think, in so many ways where like they would almost feel like they were untouchable or like on some type of pedestal, where like these people are like kind of the bringing back the like yeah we're also people like breaking news kind of vibe, I think.
Yeah, there is just like a level of rawness where, like, what do you mean a person that's one of the new pop girlies can go on emergency intercom and like talk about being obsessed with their crush
Mm.
and like such a I think that makes it very special. Moment for my outfit.
Yes, clock it.
What's amazing about wearing a piece of literal fabric as clothing is that I don't think, like, any of the times I've worn it, I've never worn it the same way. I always find a new
Mm.
way to like tie it
Yeah.
up. And it almost makes it like a whole new piece.
Another thing that I wanted to mention is that I recently came across this video, and we're gonna try to put a thumbnail somewhere here. And this is Val on YouTube, VAL. And like the thumbnail, not the thumbnail, like the caption or description, I don't know what you call that, like the title of the video was the most visually fluent generation is creatively illiterate. And that was like such an interesting statement to me, for many reasons, and I'm gonna try to like talk about that in general. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to the full thing, but even that as a statement was like so catchy and interesting to me. She was also like talking about AI, but I'm not really gonna get into that because she was like just trying to talk about the fact that like people it's getting harder, but people also have like a huge problem with like reading the content beyond the visual. And obviously like AI is definitely enhancing that problem. But it was just interesting how like so many things, like we definitely grew up in times where like we were displayed to so much like graphic and visual design, and that wouldn't even be the experience of like our parents' generation, let's say, because they didn't have the same amount of like exposure to screen, to like internet, all of that, and we were like literally exposed to it. I think we're the first generation that was very exposed to like screen and just the internet. Like we all
I think
had.
even, sorry, but I thought about how magazines looked, like even the really shitty, like tabloid type stuff when we
Yeah.
were young children. I think that's
Mhm.
something that like our parents didn't even have that.
Yeah. Um, And like at the same time, the fact that you like get to have your own PC at the age of like what, like 6 or something, and you just like learn all these tools and you can like very easily become a designer yourself these days. Um, she was talking about how like that, but I'm also like kind of adding my point on top of that, how like that itself is like very good and you can like very easily design stuff that maybe other people wanted and they didn't have the same abilities or like skills. But at the same time, how everything is kind of like contentless, like it's most of the time like I think there are formulas that you can just like create a great visual, but we are actually lacking in terms of like the actual meaningful content. I think we've all like we have the design part down, but as a generation, but at the same time, like we are definitely lacking in terms of information and actual like content that feels you're actually like learning something from it.
Professor, may I speak now?
Yes, you can.
Granted. Um, what I think about when you're saying that, and obviously no shade to Charlie, no shade to the Brad album cover,
Yes.
the freaking font, and like the
Mm.
almost like minimalism, and I would say the push or like the desire, the urge to make everything so simplistic and almost easily digestible for basically the sake of social media. And
Hmm.
it's almost like we're logifying mm,
Everything, literally, I
it.
think. Yeah. I think like a Brad album itself, because I know like the designer who did it, and like I mean, it almost feels like a critique to some point, which I also like. Like it's very like it's a bold statement to have this like huge pop star. Maybe it was she was like less famous before the Brad album, but like Brad album, I think literally everyone on earth knows. Um, like it takes like it is a very radical decision to not put a face of a pop star, which would sell so easily, and just have like a blank green canvas with like pixelated font on top of it. So it almost feels like that's more intentional, even you could say. Um, but yeah, of course, like it is also like design wise, it is dealing with the same issue. And like another topic that this links would be that I love information. Like, please give us information. Please. I think this is also something that we thought a lot about in terms of we own a magazine, and like this is obviously relevant to us as well.
Yeah.
The content itself that we share, like it was very conceptual. Like we were working with themes and like exploring certain ideas, or like it also started as like kind of like a literary magazine, like because we were publishing Marcelina's texts in the
Writing.
beginning. Yeah, the writing. So I would say even when we started, it was never really about the visual itself, although that obviously like plays a huge part, but the content itself. And like recently, I think why podcasts and this video diaries on YouTube are so popular is that they are basically the only ways to consume proper information online that is not like
Mm,
15 seconds long and is just like horses running an aesthetic video and then like some like random two sentences that mean nothing. Like
mm.
that's mostly content you see
Girl,
on like
whatever.
well whatever. And um like I don't know,
Did you mean
Bliss
did
and
you mean video essays?
yeah. What did
Because
I
you
say
said
something
video
else?
diaries.
Oh yeah, I meant video essays. With like even AI, it is literally harder to get the information that you need because it's like it oversim even when you Google something and you were like kind of like browsing the web before, now it's just like this AI window that pops up each time and gives you like the
Mm,
shortest, most like technical text about something that you're researching. So it's
yeah.
like I've been craving like a proper information that is digital. I personally have to like work with books and stuff and do readings all the time because of my uni. But if it wasn't my uni, I don't know if yeah, like look at us. But at the same time, like if it wasn't like the uni, I don't know if I would be doing that realistically. Have the same critique for the magazines. Like they are creating these amazing shoots that are so visually appealing and so interesting visually, but there's barely any content behind it, or there's barely any like not that everything has to be overly conceptual either, but it's just like I don't know, I'm personally very much lacking an info, some type of like proper content that like does something to your brain.
In terms of how we operate as people, and I guess this is when it comes to aesthetic, but also just why we're drawn to things. So I guess that's basically aesthetics. Like we're not the type of bitches to get a tattoo with no meaning behind it. We're definitely like the opposite side of the spectrum, I would say, where
Mm,
for us almost everything is conceptual, I would say, or not conceptual, but we do care about like the symbolism and meaning and stories behind stuff. Um, and we're also very much, I'm very much a reader and like a paper content consumer, basically always have been.
mm,
And we're also being in the academic space, that's something that came to my mind as well when you were talking about AI and how it actually makes it more difficult to get the information that you want. Because if you want credible information, like citing sources is a really good example in the academic context. Obviously, you can't use ChatGPT or Google AI, whatever, as a source. So I guess it makes certain things easier, but it definitely makes getting to the source or like the core of information
mm.
much harder in a lot of cases, I would say.
Yeah. I guess it is like I'm more talking about a problem with like digital media, because like obviously there's option to go to a library and look through like thousand books and
Mm.
find your information there. But I think like in this day, no one like kind of does that anymore.
I just wanted to ask, what's the last time, as a person who writes academic stuff, I would assume like quite a bit. I don't know if we do it the same amount because my course, my degree is like primarily reading and writing basically.
Mm,
But what's the last time you went to a library when doing research? Because I think I've barely done that and I am graduating this
mm.
year.
Well, the thing is that we have a subject that is called architectural thinking each semester, or like every other semester, basically, where it's literally just theory and of design and architecture. And for that, we have like digital library. Everything is mostly
Yeah,
digitalized, and I
yeah.
mostly use those, even though it is like literally books scanned, but it's like very much less like it's not you're not going to like a physical library. The thing is like I am often in library because like library space in my uni is just like somewhere you hang out and work. But at
I
the
was
same
about
time,
to say, yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, it's not that I'm actively consuming physical media there as well.
Mm,
Um, and it's okay, like it's not that I'm really like sort of promoting this idea that everyone should go back to the libraries and like, just like consume proper media, but I just feel like with everything being so like surface level, in terms of like you just put like a great thumbnail, great picture, like something that we can all do at this point, and then like you click it and there is nothing going on, like there's nothing valuable from it. And especially in the world that feels so fast and like very fast paced, I think it's almost like sometimes it feels like, oh, I wasted my time on this because like this literally gave me nothing. So I
mm,
think as like technology progresses and advances, I think it is even more and more important to have like proper media and proper
mm.
like information.
Point that you've mentioned about libraries is so interesting because as you were saying that, I was thinking I'm the kind of kid, I love physical libraries. When I was a child in primary school, I would actually rather hang out there than be with other children. Like I would hide at the library. We go way back, me and libraries. However, same. I don't remember the last time. I could probably recall it, but it's been around a year since I've even borrowed a physical book from a physical library. And I think they've become, specifically for students nowadays, much more of like a social slash workspace. And I guess that we could like connect that to the fact that we're lacking third spaces right now. Like everywhere you go, if you want to go to a cafe, you have to essentially pay to be there. So I think, yeah, as young people, that's a way we're seeking out just kind of connection or even just
Mhm.
being around the others who have
Just
you
public
know,
spaces, basically.
yeah, like a um place to hang out, to put it
Mhm.
simply. Talk about my yoga class experience.
You can, yeah.
Um, I guess that sort of connects to people looking for third spaces because as I am writing my dissertation now and I'm quite deep into the process, some would say coming towards the end of it, I have to spend a lot of time by myself, a lot of time working quite intensely. So I've been definitely seeking out third spaces and going to cafes a bunch. And the issue of having to pay to like exist somewhere, I know it really well.
Mm.
But also the thing that I do sometimes when I find myself in these situations is going to workout classes, which have also honestly become increasingly popular in the recent years. I've been noticing that. So I went to my first hot yoga class yesterday. And yeah, there's something really amazing about one, sweating, two, being able to wear an kind of outrageously colorful outfit to yoga and like slaying so hard. At the same time, I've never been to a workout class with so much personality. It was basically like have stand up, have a workout, and I loved that part of it. Plus, pro tip if anyone has issues with like water retention, or if you just want crazy muscle definition, having a hot class is that's your girl. It's kind of amazing. So yeah.
I'm staying away from those spaces because I get claustrophobic as hell.
Basically, hot yoga is like a yoga class and sauna. Absolutely amazing. Is it completely like so painfully the part of London I live in? I live in Hackney. Yes. And I proudly love it.
Major T has been dropped, you guys.
Whoopsie. Well, I think I basically I've given my location and if you really want to stalk me, I feel like you'll be able to find it.
I guess like with the like last topic that I talked about, I was wondering actually to like also have your opinion about this. Because I feel like the sort of environment that I'm in and the course that I'm taking, I'm studying architecture. I think like the content itself is so important, and you do like a whole research period where like before you like actually design anything, like you come up with concepts, you come up with like you learn about the environment that your like building is going to be in or something. So we're just like thinking, because in my head, what architecture did, and like we've all talked about it on my course, is that like it literally like inserts a whole different brain in you, and like you just like start looking at things so differently. And I think it definitely shows in like other unrelated to my profession, like stuff that I do out of my profession. It definitely shows in like our magazine and how it's like always tries to be so structured, or like just like even like I don't know, personal life. Um, you're science based, and then like there is similarity in that because you also do like so much research, and recently it's been like all about the research. So
Well, how I am is that I actually love the research part maybe more than actually doing like running studies because I do psychology. So what I do is much more, I would say, human based, where I have to interact with other people, even if it's just sending out a survey or asking them to fill out a survey over social media. But still, I like need humans to give me information basically firsthand. So there is that, but I definitely love the research part of the process. Um, and I've been a person like who has always loved reading and just consuming information to the point where what I'm doing now for my final project for university, aka the dissertation, is very much the studies I was showing you today. I
yeah.
was showing right here part of what I've been researching are things that I found myself in my free time for fun, because that's the kind of content I'll consume for fun, is studies about women's neurology and gray and white matter proportion and different phases of the menstrual cycle. Like I am just, my brain is so autistic. I love researching.
Mm.
Does it, and like I guess that's the second part of the question, does that change how I operate?
Because it's
I
still
think
applied to fashion, I think, and in terms of like I would say architecture is still like similar to fashion in ways that it's like still a design that you come up
mm,
that has like this um dimension of like a picture almost, like a visual. It still like is concerned with creating a certain visual,
mm,
both of them. But I guess like fashion just has like more freedom and is more like it is more visual based than architecture is, in my opinion. Do you think like you also have that like do you also experience that as in like do you also lack um having those sources?
substance. But do
Yeah,
you mean, because yeah, I spoke about psychology. Are you asking me that more in terms of fashion now, or both?
kind of both, because like because aren't they related in terms of your course or like the program?
Well, I do fashion psychology technically,
Yeah.
which, contrary to what a lot of people think, is much more psychology STEM based than actually fashion.
Mm,
There has been like almost a trend with pop psychology, and people talking about including all these psychology, like things that originated from psychology slash psychotherapy in our everyday lives, to the point where it makes, like, everyone's kind of self-diagnosing themselves slash other people, and we throw in these terms of like gaslighting,
mm,
even like specific labels that would come from a psychiatric diagnosis into our everyday lives.
mm,
I think I started finding it more frustrating as a psychology student, because I definitely used to be like kind of a part of the problem myself. I think there's a level of self awareness in terms of that, that if you are not actually educated, slash also getting therapy yourself or like a diagnosis, it can be very much problematic to just be throwing out all these words and labels, and you
mm,
think that that's like communication, or that you're like smarter than others or more woke or whatever,
mm.
maybe even politically like correct, and you're actually making your life harder.
Yeah.
So I guess in terms of psychology, that's definitely something I've seen. This is something that older people speak about, and it could be very much a problematic thing where we are almost like too self aware. But I think a lot of people have this fake sense of self awareness, or like
Mm,
awareness of these areas, where you think that you have much more of a deeper understanding than you do.
mm. Yeah, and that goes back to like having lack of information, because like how you self-diagnosed yourself at like 13 was
Yeah.
that you like saw what ADHD means, and then like there's a bunch of the slides of like symptoms basically of like, oh, you can't focus, you're like you have ADHD. Also part of the problem because they're not getting proper education about and proper information about like this
Mm.
mental problems.
In terms of psychology, I think that's something that's been quite widely talked about on the internet as well, just like this whole phenomenon
Mm,
of people thinking that they're like a therapist.
yeah.
Someone who, I think, kind of a part of every diagnosis at this point in the world, or like at this time, is self-diagnosing. And I don't want to entirely demonize it, because as someone who has a diagnosis, and I'm on the autism spectrum, I would never get it if I didn't recognize myself that I had some of the traits of the disability. But I think if you want a pro tip from someone who is diagnosed on if you should do self-diagnosing in any way, please try to find resources from people who are already diagnosed. I think that's
Mm.
like the best way to go about it. And yeah, make sure it's not like a 15, 13-year old just saying stuff. There are actually good, like, more credible resources where you can tell if you relate to something or not. That's
Mm.
like a better way, but also don't go off of that entirely. Like, of course, you need a specialist always. I
Mm.
hope that it's obvious though.
And she was actually the same person that I was talking about the from the YouTube video. She was also literally talking about in terms of fashion, how everything is like an aesthetic and it has
Mm.
no like actual. Because like even if you compare it to like a few decades ago, aka like even 90s, where or like even before and earlier, so many things were coming from like communities and they weren't aesthetics. They were like subcultures or like groups of people who were thinking alike or were sharing like political views or like etc. And now it's like it just again became this like surface level as language of visuals and aesthetics, lacking any type of content or like any type of identity behind it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's too. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be woke, but that
Mm.
really made me think of how cultural appropriation is basically like what you're talking about is it's almost like a tool for propagating that, because if you don't
Mm.
have a deeper understanding of, like, I don't even mean actual cultures as in
Yeah.
nationalities or like ethnic
Mhm.
backgrounds, but still, if we viewed like a subculture as a culture in itself,
Mm.
basically, yeah, I guess I think a lot of people have a very shallow understanding of like a lot of things in terms of aesthetics like that. Like,
Mhm.
nobody takes the time to really look into things on a deeper level because we're so used to scrolling, we're so used to Pinterest. I think
Mhm.
that's also kind of like a rite of passage for people of a certain age, and it's completely okay to be like a teenager and just wear something because you think it looks cool.
Mhm.
But it's definitely also important to like look beyond just the visuals of stuff. It can, yeah, it can surely turn problematic. Guys, this is the beauty segment. I think I have two things, maybe. First one, it's almost in the realm of the 2010s aesthetics or reconnecting with my younger self, per se. Um, my nails, I've been kind of obsessed with like different shades of metallic nail polish that are like sparkly. um this is just like fun. I'm not gonna over intellectualize this. um but somehow I got two of these recently. Maybe we can like insert a picture or something.
Mhm.
This one's blue and metallic, and the other one is pink. Both metallic, both sparkly. uh, their names are like both aura related. I think one of them is called Astral Aura, the other one I don't remember. But if that's not giving 2016 Coachella, Addison Rae, Michaela Twigs, I don't know what is.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's just something I've been enjoying, I think. So I actually got my hands on the Orabella fragrance. The thing about me and those fragrances is that I smelled them for the first time about a year ago when they became available in the UK. I walked myself to Selfridges, and back then I was on birth control. And for some people, if you guys don't know this, your hormones can really impact the way that things smell to you. At least that's how I definitely subjectively experience it. And certain stuff smelled so different when I was on the hormonal birth control than it does now, to the point where there are things that I hated back then and things that I feel neutral about, slash, I might even love now. So the Orabella fragrances are one of one example of that, where I low-key kind of hated all of them the first time, And recently I smelled them again and they're actually like fine. I don't dislike any of them. And this one I actually liked to the point to get a little sample. It's the one with lychee. It's called Eternal Roots, if anyone's interested. Although these are, you're supposed to shake them up because it's kind of like a natural fragrance. So it has essential oils and water. It works a little bit different in terms of the formulation. And I find that when I smelled it in store, I think I didn't spray it on my skin and maybe didn't shake it up. And I could smell the sweet lycheeness of this much more than all the other notes, which are heavier because it literally has like a smoke note. It has a leather, I think, suede note. I really couldn't smell these the first time as much. That being said, it did make me emotional. And how I know that I really like a fragrance, like if I smell something for the first time and it almost makes me cry, that means it goes into like my top, current top five. And that has happened only like a handful of times. Another example of that is Bianco Latte. Um, a PCOS girly, I love that it's non-toxic. I can actually spray it on my skin because usually I avoid doing that because it's bad for your hormones. That was the beauty segment.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Serving.
I think that was it mostly for this episode. Let us, like, you need to start commenting, guys. We need to know
Guys,
who
let's
you
bring
are.
2026. Summer 2026, we're bringing back comments. I want all my Slavic baddies in the comments right now.
If there are topics that you want us to discuss or talk about, that would be like such a fun way to like come up with next episodes, and like maybe the topic that you're interested in could be or in our next episodes.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully, see you in a bit less than a month.
Yeah.
However, as we've kind of mentioned already, this might be more episodic, just as whole of Fluid is. But actually, by now, hope you have a good rest of your day.